welcome back to the Figures and Flippy Shit Wrestling Podcast.
Wait, I've been practicing this intro.
Okay, go ahead.
So, welcome to your favorite podcast ever, Figures and Flippy Shit. I was trying to sound like The Miz.
Oh, okay.
But I forgot what he said halfway through it. I had it all planned out of what I was going to say, but then when the time came to it, I forgot.
He says, welcome to the Oh, God. You asked me too fast. He did a segment of it this week, too.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
yeah.
Anyway. Welcome to the most WWE talk show in history. Welcome to Miz TV, I think is what it is.
Okay, well, either way, welcome to this week's Figures and Flippy Shit, where we're going to talk about this week in wrestling.
Yes, and I'm in a good mood because it's AEW pay-per-view weekend.
Those are usually pretty good. Has AEW had a pay-per-view where we didn't really like?
No, because even if the story's been lackluster or, you know, it's kind of weird how it gets there, the pay-per-view usually delivers.
The matches always bring it.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about WWE first.
Yes. Top story is always the Bloodline.
Always the Bloodline.
And, Doctor, what a week for the Bloodline.
Well, we had Kevin Owens kind of help out more this week with the Bloodline. Mm-hmm. He came out on Raw, and he kind of, it was Jimmy and Solo, right? And he kind of took them down. He came out on top. So, on SmackDown, we had Roman, though. Well, all week, Roman's been telling Jimmy that Jay needs to get it together. Mm-hmm. And it was said that Roman was going to have a definitive answer for Jay this week, but that didn't happen. However, he is kind of turning on Jimmy a little bit now.
Yes, and he's got the gaslighting and manipulation up to 11.
Oh my God, yes.
Telling Jimmy he's losing patience with him, and that he tells Paul Heyman that if Jay doesn't show up next week, he's not going to blame Sammy, he's going to blame Jimmy.
So it's just, Roman's literally just kind of pushing his family away, basically. So.
Yes, it's classic mobster style. He's putting himself on his own island of relevancy, pushing everyone away. One little touch I like that I feel kind of led into it, but maybe this is just a coincidence, is the past few weeks, Roman has had an Island of Relevancy shirt or a something with the Bloodline. This week, the shirt that he had on was the one that was just him and Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very, very interesting. Maybe it's nothing, but I like to think it's something because there's been a lot of little subtle details in this story. Before all this with Jimmy, Cody and Roman had their showdown, and man, I'm ready. I'm ready for that fight.
It always goes back to, which that's like his story right now is just Cody Rhodes' dad. Mm-hmm. And Roman did a really good job of kind of twisting it, manipulating Cody Rhodes to being like, your dad never even cared about you. He never mentioned you. We would just talk about me. I'm the better person.
Yeah.
So it was very much
even so far as telling Cody, it was like you didn't exist.
Yes.
And Roman did a pretty good impression of Dusty Rhodes.
Yes.
Roman is a secret great impressionist. Have you ever heard his Paul Bearer impression?
I don't know if I ever know.
Oh, look it up. It's great.
I know that Roman did this thing where, Cody got the upper hand on Roman Reigns this week, and Roman kind of walked away from the stage, but he would, every time he'd be looking at Cody, he had this, cocky grin on his face, but then the camera would always catch him facing not towards Cody, and he looked worried.
Yeah.
But he was just doing that cockiness to Cody. So Roman is very good. If he wants to get into acting into Hollywood, I think he would be good at it.
I think he could too. Roman has the whole bloodline, the acting in the Bloodline story has been really great.
Yes.
From a lot of people, Sammy, Jay.
How does
Roman.
Solo not laugh? That's my thing.
I don't know.
So he's a good actor in my opinion because he's not laughing. I would have broken down so many times with Sammy and just how serious it is. I wouldn't have been able to handle it, but... And
another detail that I mentioned this to you while we were watching the show, is instead of killing Sammy when they get the chance, Jimmy keeps yelling at Sammy, you chose this, you made this decision.
Yeah.
And even Solo during their match was vocal, which is pretty rare, and he was like, Sammy, what the hell's wrong with you? I love the fact that
There's a lot of
they
anger.
come off more hurt
yes.
than angry. Like, they're angry, but there's also a degree of hurt there.
Yeah, it makes it seem like they're angry so much because they're hurt.
Yeah, which really is a subtle way to show you just how entrenched in the bloodline Sammy was.
So, like, do they have, like, a social worker on their writing crew, right, writing this? Because that's good.
I have no idea.
That is good, human, whatever.
Yeah, it feels very natural.
It does.
Like, they don't just turn
Absolutely.
on the kill switch and Sammy means nothing. The screaming at him tells me that he legitimately hurt them.
Yes, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I am here for this.
Roman, on the other hand, I think Roman is angry and there's no hurt there.
No, I think...
Because Roman's ready to pull the trigger every time.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm interested to see how this plays out with blaming Jimmy, because you and I will be at SmackDown Live next week. We'll be in Pittsburgh for the show.
So, I'm hoping something goes down. I just hope I see Sami Zayn, because if you've watched the earlier podcast, I got pretty passionate. I was one of those people that were pretty passionate about how I was upset that Sami was going to lose the Royal Rumble to Cody Rhodes. Now, I can take a step back and be like, okay, like, I was just worried that Sami wasn't going to get used after. I thought the focus was just going to be on Cody Rhodes. And I was like, that's so unfair. However, Sami's still, like, a major part of the show, and, like, they're telling their own little story there, so...
And what I find interesting is Cody's story isn't really bleeding into Sami's, because Cody's never helped Sami out. They had that one promo on Raw. But other than that, like, whenever Sami gets attacked, like last night, Sami got out of himself. Kevin Owens didn't come out to help him.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes never comes out to help him. It's like Cody looks at that and he's like, yeah, that's not my fault. I got other stuff to focus on.
Not my problem.
yeah. Cody's like, forget all that.
Yep, I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to involve myself in that.
But I love also, did you notice that Roman said that if Jay doesn't come back, he's going to blame Jimmy. What was the reason Sami got away? Because Jimmy wanted to take the credit from Solo of hurting Sami, and that delay cost them. So now Roman has another beef with Jimmy going into next week.
Roman had told Jimmy too, though, that, like, basically you better kill him.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah. It was
he was very much in that thought process, like, I have to be the one to take him down. Like, I have to do this. Yeah. Like, because Jimmy's, I'm sure the character Jimmy is, like, understanding, like, Roman Reigns is going to turn on me as well. Like, I have to prove to him that I can do this.
Yeah, he's got to see it coming.
Yes.
He's got to.
So, I mean, like, so it's very good story. Very good, like, how humans... think, how we process things. I think so.
It's just being told. It's just being told so well. If you have a chance, go back and just watch how this story's developed.
Yeah.
Once Sami joins the group.
I mean, I heard this story that it was pretty good before Sami joined, though, right?
Yeah, but I had heard in a few places that before Sami came along, it was just starting to wear out its welcome. And then Sami kind of breathed life back into it.
Good old Sami.
Yeah. And what's crazy about that is I was reading that originally Sami was only supposed to be with the Bloodline for a couple weeks as, like, comic relief.
Yeah.
And Paul Heyman actually did an interview where he said that they literally just gave Sami Zayn crumbs of a segment, like didn't give him much to work with at all, and he took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
And that just speaks to the talent of Sami Zayn to make something out of nothing.
Our first Lenny appearance.
Yeah, she's extra needy today, so expect to see her a little bit.
I was getting ready today, and she just... And you just sneezed in my
But
face.
I love the direction that we're kind of going with the story with Cody as well, is they've kind of added another layer. It's no longer about Cody winning the title. It's about Cody essentially taking down NXT's greatest creation, which his father helped build. So I really like where we're going with this. We have 4 weeks left of build, so I hope we do some more promos between Cody and Roman, because that was a lot of fun.
Cody is really good at doing promos.
Reading the response online, a lot of people think that Roman just blasted Cody into oblivion and Roman ran away with the promo battle.
I think so.
It was a strong showing from Roman.
I think Roman did outshine Cody in this one,
which just shows the level that Roman's at now. Like, Roman really...
Do you remember that time he was doing a promo with John Cena and he was
Yeah, he got murdered.
Like, it was rough.
Yeah.
So good for Roman Reigns for improving.
It's funny, like, it's his t-shirt, you know, on another level. They talk about how Roman Reigns is on another level. He really is right now. He really is in a class to himself.
Yes.
The progression that he's done since, you know, when you just let him be himself. When he's himself, he's cool, he's badass.
Yes.
Like, just let him be himself, and obviously it's money.
Right?
So... You know, I could talk about the Bloodline
story. You really
story
can,
all
but we
day,
can move on.
But
now.
Yeah, we covered everything that we need to cover, so I think we can move on from the Bloodline story. But yeah, I was already pumped for Roman and Cody, and I'm even more pumped now. It definitely feels like a big fight.
Yes,
like it feels like there's stakes, big stakes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the Bloodline story this week. Since the Bloodline crosses across both shows, that's typically why I start with it, because it does go across both shows.
Yeah.
But now we can kind of go in the direction of reviewing Raw and kind of talking about what we did there.
Perfect. I just want to talk about how funny Brock Lesnar is.
That's so crazy coming from you, because you used to not like Brock at all.
I'm not a big wrestler fan. Like the Braun Strowmans, the Brock Lesnars, the Bobby Lashleys, Omos. Satnam Singh is a really cool person to actually like talk to in real life, but like big guy wrestling, I'm just not a fan of it. So
like Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, they don't do anything for you either?
I like Wardlow. There's something about Wardlow I like, and I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I like Keith Lee. I like him, but he does like flippy stuff, and I'm a flippy person. So
do you like Samoa Joe?
I don't dislike him. I like his promo work a lot more than I enjoy his wrestling. But it's not that he's not a good wrestler. Like, I can like appreciate when people are good wrestlers. I think there's some on that list that I wouldn't call a good wrestler. But I'm not gonna be negative today. But for the most part, I don't typically like bigger wrestlers. So Brock Lesnar now is very funny because he's like country Brock. He seems like somebody that I have in my family. Like, couldn't you see country Brock more in my family?
I would piss myself if we went to one of your family reunions and Brock Lesnar was there.
But doesn't country Brock seem like he'd fit in with my family?
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
I can see it.
It kind of like is like, I think he's funnier this way just because it reminds me of like my family, I think.
I have to go back to your big man argument one more time because I have to ask about somebody. Tell me you like Gunther.
I think he's a very hard ass. I wouldn't put him as my favorite, but I can appreciate the fact that he's good. It's just not my style of wrestling that I really love.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. She's wrong. Gunther's fantastic, but okay.
No, I'm not saying that. I can appreciate his work. I'm not taking away from how good he is. It's just...
I'm just messing with you. But I tell you, yes, Brock's fun, but I'm not really invested in this Brock Lesnar Omos match.
I know that MVP came out and Brock Lesnar was like, sell me on this match versus Omos. And I was like, oh, God.
No, what was funny is when Brock said that, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, yeah, MVP, tell me why this should be good. Like, I was in the same boat as Brock.
I will give MVP credit. He definitely made the match seem much more exciting than I think it's ever going to be.
Yeah, I expect this match to go less than 5 minutes. I expect Brock Lesnar to hit 4 German suplexes, 2 F5s, and Omos might pick him up once or twice.
What if we're completely wrong and like they legit let Omos like compete? I mean, he's a big guy, so like I don't think it should be a squash match. I think that if you want him to be a big guy that you can use, you're going to have to use him good against against Brock Lesnar. So I hope it's not a squash match. I don't have much hope for this. It's nothing against those two. Omos is very boring to me.
I have the same. I feel completely differently about these two people. I'm much more into one than the other.
Yes.
But to me, no, I'm making a different point.
Oh.
But Omos to me is a lot like Jade Cargill in AEW.
Like if he wrestled more, he would get better.
Yes. And I don't know that he's necessarily got the wrestling skill yet to be in a high caliber match like with Brock Lesnar. And I have the same thing with Jade Cargill, and I love Jade Cargill.
Yes.
But I still feel the same way.
I kind of feel like with Omos, like, you can't just be a good guy or a big guy and be a good wrestler. Yeah. Like, you can't just come into the ring and shove somebody and then just because you're big, you're a wrestler. Like, no, not that he's a wrestler. A good wrestler is what I mean.
Honestly, I would say that Omos, and I know that you don't care for this person, but Omos really needs to be more of like a Braun Strowman type. Because Braun Strowman's big, he does the shoving that you talk about, but he can still put on a compelling match.
I was actually thinking, I don't like the actual person, Braun Strowman. Every time he comes out to the ring, I very vocally huff. But that's just because Braun has just said so much stuff in the past, and I just can't get over Control Your Narrative, and then him leaving Control Your Narrative to go back to WWE when Control Your Narrative was so anti-everything. I mean,
Karrion Kross did the same thing.
From Control, but he was like a permanent Control Your Narrative. He just made appearances there. I'm not sure. But didn't Braun Strowman help create it?
Yeah, Braun Strowman leaving Control Your Narrative is kind of, sort of, not really along the same lines as Cody leaving AEW.
But I feel like there's a difference between Control Your Narrative and AEW. Cody was not needed in AEW. That sounds harsh. I know you love him, but he wasn't needed, was he?
No, I think in the direction that his character was going, I don't think he would have fit with AEW moving forward.
He does fit more with WWE. I will admit that. He's very flashy. He's very much Triple H-like. So, like, he fits in more. Braun Strowman just started this Control Your Narrative thing with EC3, and they both have been really not great things have come out about them, and like things that they've said. So, like, I could talk about Braun Strowman and how much I dislike him as a person forever.
About as much as I could talk about the Bloodline.
Yeah, the only person I could probably talk more about how much I dislike is Ronda Rousey.
But I'll tell you though, when it comes to Braun Strowman,
he will. I will say, I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
I will say, he is entertaining, just not my type of entertainment.
Well, I was just going to say that him and Ricochet's tag team has been a lot more fun than I anticipated it to be.
And I want to know how they started that, because it was right after Braun Strowman made the crack to people about the flippy wrestling.
Yeah.
And then one of the most flippy wrestlers I can think of,
well, apparently
teamed up with him, and it's like, why?
From what I understand, him and Ricochet kind of talked that out, and Ricochet said they're cool.
That's fine and dandy, but why are there no consequences?
Why? I don't know that there should be consequences.
I feel like there should be.
Because he was just, going after...
Right, I know. It's just...
I don't think it's something that requires consequences.
But he has been, in the past, has been somebody that's tweeted things like a Lacey Evans type person that you're just like, oh...
Okay, I can see that, but as far as the flippy stuff, like, I know people that would agree with Braun Strowman.
But I also feel like when you're a wrestler, you probably shouldn't attack the people you work with. Like, just because you're big and muscular, you shouldn't put down the other people, the other talent that's with you. In the wrestling community, I feel like, is all a community, the wrestlers, no matter what promotion you're in. So the fact that he said that, I felt like it was a slap in the face to people with much butter than him, like Will Ospreay, who commented on it, or like anybody else.
Ricochet?
I couldn't think of anybody else, but yes. But like, so I just kind of feel like it was very disrespectful. I felt like he spoke out of turn. I felt like he was just upset about, I don't know. That's what makes me upset, is that if I would say something like that, trashing other employees on a public social media place, there'd be consequences for me.
Okay.
That's what bugs me.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. Not that he can't say what he wants to say. It's just the fact that he was very disrespectful to people like the other wrestlers that he works with in like the wrestling community.
Okay.
That's what bugs me.
Okay. That's valid.
I'm all about consequences. You know this.
I know.
With our foster kiddos, I was all about the consequences. With you, I'm all about consequences. So, like, that's just my thing. And when there's no consequences, it drives me nuts because I look at somebody the wrong way and there's a consequence for my actions. So that's why I get up in arms. But
fair enough.
I'll stop talking about Braun though. Let's talk about.
We veered way off course there because it started as a conversation about Brock Lesnar and Omos.
I got on my soapbox about Braun Strowman.
Just a little bit. Bit.
But I do want to point out. I wouldn't say that this is like. I don't want to say this is something like you should absolutely go and check out, but I was kind of impressed with Carmella and Asuka's match. I know Asuka's an excellent wrestler, and I don't want to say Carmella isn't, but Carmella's more of like a promo type wrestler.
Yeah, but her wrestling skills come miles from where she was back in NXT.
Absolutely. I agree with that absolutely. But this match, it was a decent match, and I wanted to note it because I didn't have many expectations going into it. I remember whenever Carmella was like the champion. Was it SmackDown Women's Champion? I loved her as champion. I loved how we had to watch that video every day of how great she was. I love Carmella. She's loud. She kind of is who I wish I could be. I wish I could have her like her self-esteem. I wish I could have like she could say whatever she wants. She doesn't care. Like I kind of envy Carmella like that.
You probably even would prefer to live in Pittsburgh like she does.
I would. Yeah, compared to where we are now, absolutely. But it was a decent match. So if you are a fan of women's wrestling, if you're not, obviously I'm not going to have you go watch it because why would I have you go watch if you're just going to put it down? But I would say if you enjoy women's wrestling and you want like a match that's not going to like hurt anything, that you're not going to dislike, absolutely hate, I would say check that match out.
Yeah. And actually we got a little bit of an angle after it because later in the show, Chelsea Green was talking to Adam Pearce and Carmella came up and Carmella and Chelsea Green started to bond. So I'm wondering what we're going to do
Listen, you know, I love Chelsea Green. If you were to go back to one of our very first podcast episode, we had some friends on that podcast episode. And like one of them, I don't know if he still does, but pre-COVID, he would always go to like the NXT shows, and all that other stuff. And like he was just talking about how Chelsea Green was there, and I love Chelsea Green. Like I absolutely love her. So I'm happy if. I wonder if like I wouldn't hate a Carmella and Chelsea Green tag team. They could be the freaking Karens, and it would be fantastic.
I mean, honestly, I think if you could put some women's tag teams together and give them some history and give them like some time to be together, you could build a decent women's tag team.
Somebody else that I think should be tagging up. I really want Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae to tag up. There's some kind of storyline going on.
I think that's where we're headed.
My heart breaks for Nikki Cross because last week she said that she was lonely. She didn't have any friends. And this week, Candice LeRae came out. She had a match against Piper Niven, which Piper Niven was looking more aggressive this week as well.
Yeah.
So it made me think more of that like videos we watch about like the oh my god moments.
Yeah.
And she's on there quite often. So I hope we get back to that Piper Niven.
I wouldn't be surprised if Piper Niven if Asuka wins the title at WrestleMania, which I think she will.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if Piper Niven was Asuka's first feud.
I don't want people to sleep on Piper Niven because go back and watch her indies. Like she's intense. She's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And my biggest beef with WWE is that when people get there, they get watered down. And I hope she kind of gets back more into her indies type of Piper Niven. But anyway, back to Candice LeRae. So literally, like Nikki Cross just like followed Candice LeRae out to the ring. She was like kind of like coming out behind her, and like she just kind of hung out by the ring. I don't even know if they even talked. Candice and Nikki talked.
No, because Candice avoided it.
But like I remember in NXT, those two teamed up together. I think it was just live shows, but we watched them team up together, and they have good chemistry together. So I would be totally down for Nikki Cross and Candice LeRae get together.
Yeah, I think that could work, and I do think that's kind of what we're building towards.
Yeah.
Poor
Nikki's.
I do think the women need more defined tag teams, and we'll kind of get to that toward the end of the conversation, Raw, because I'm not done with those thoughts.
Yes. Okay. Well, we found out that Miz is hosting WrestleMania.
Yeah, which honestly is a good call because he doesn't really have a really much of a feud going into the show, but he should be on
Hollywood and
yeah, it's a good choice. It's a good choice.
We had
LA Knight would have been my second choice.
Yeah, we had Ron's come out and talk about Logan Paul. I don't give a shit about Logan Paul. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but that match is probably gonna be something special.
I'd rather not watch. I'm probably not gonna pay. I don't know. I just cannot. I can't. There are some people, like Bad Bunny, okay, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Paul people, no. So I will just gladly, you can talk about that match. I'm probably going to tune out. I'm probably not going to watch it.
Oh.
So
you're going to do that to your boy Rollins. You're not even going to watch it for Seth Rollins.
No.
You love Seth Rollins.
I hate the Paul brothers.
Oh, it's going to be such a good match.
One of them filmed a dead body. Like, what?
Okay. I mean, I'm sure there's. I agree that Logan Paul is not the best person in the world, but I mean, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of bad things that are in positions that they probably shouldn't be.
I know, like the Creasleys.
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about Raw.
Yes, but that's my choice. I'm just not going to watch it.
Okay.
It's not like it's going to hurt anything. You can still talk about it. You can still talk about how great it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I just would rather not watch anything the Paul brothers are involved in.
Okay.
And that's my choice.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Well, I just want to say also that Bray Wyatt is pretty good at promos.
Mm-hmm.
We had Uncle Howdy come out against... Who did he even come out against? I don't remember. Uncle Howdy's losing me. I cannot with him.
I thought he was supposed to be like creepy and barely make appearances, but now he's appearing more.
And he was taken down pretty quickly. Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley took him down pretty quickly on SmackDown, and it's just like...
It's this... Man, I appreciate what Bray's trying to do, but I just don't think it's clicking.
No.
I mean, the rumor is that they wanted Brock to work with them, and Brock said no.
That's what I've been saying.
But, I can understand at the same time. I can see Brock looking at that and being like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense.
I would much rather have Brock, though. Bobby Lashley's very boring to me.
Yeah.
He doesn't... For a big guy, he doesn't even have a good spear.
Well, maybe this will be a chance for Bobby Lashley to get a little more personality.
Or it's going to be another LA Knight match, and it's going to blow.
Maybe, what was it? Adam on Wrestle Talk called it the laser tag match.
Yeah, like I don't know. Bray Wyatt is much better at promos right now.
I think
without Uncle Howdy.
I think his ideas can work. I just don't know that they work in wrestling. If that makes sense.
Or in a WWE type thing. Maybe if he went somewhere where he could be more adult, maybe that might fit better. Because I think right now is what he's forgetting is WWE is very marketed towards children. And you're not really doing it at a child level. Which I get. We need things that are like for older people. But maybe it's just not the right promotion.
I just don't know that Bray Wyatt's stories are wrestling stories. Like, it seems like the wrestling has to be shoehorned in. It seems like he definitely has more of a story to tell, and the wrestling just kind of almost gets in the way.
Yeah.
Or they kind of have to, like, work around the fact that he wrestles.
No disrespect to Bray. I think he is, like, a brilliant mind.
Yeah, I wish I was half as creative as he was.
I wish I was as talented as him. But this version of Bray... I'm not getting. I'm not really a fan of Uncle Howdy. I've never liked Uncle Howdy. I've been anti-Uncle Howdy before everybody else was, I feel like. The first time I met Uncle Howdy, I was like, ugh, there's just something about him I don't like. You can go back and watch the earlier podcast. I think every week I'm critiquing something about Uncle Howdy. So, like...
Uncle Howdy, I think, was the first appearance of Heel Susan. Where you just
or Ronda
dunked
Rousey.
On something.
Probably was, yeah.
Well, Ronda was off TV, so I think Uncle Howdy was where it was at.
Yeah. So, that Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas, right?
I mean, that's the rumor. I don't know if it's been confirmed.
If it is Bo Dallas, I liked Bo Dallas. I liked his Bo Leave shit.
Yeah.
I liked him whenever he was with The Miz. Like, he was the Miz Taraj. Like,
Curtis Axel.
I liked that. So it's just, this right here is not working. So, like, maybe switch the story up with him a little bit. Like, and why have him be beat so easily by Bobby Lashley? If he's supposed to be this, like, force to reckon with, why did Bobby Lashley take him out in 5 seconds?
I don't know. You know what I've actually seen a lot of here recently with the Uncle Howdy stuff? I've seen quite a few people say that maybe Vince was right to kind of stifle Bray Wyatt a little bit. Because now that Bray Wyatt's had free reign, it's not working.
I will never say that Vince was right about something.
Okay.
So you're not going to get that answer from me.
You hesitated. I think that was enough to prove my point.
Well, I was hesitating, like, would I ever be low enough to give Vince McMahon applause for something?
Oh, I'm not saying
Am
applause.
I that desperate as a person?
No, I'm not saying that there's flowers or roses involved. This is the equivalent of, you know, somebody does something wrong 1,000 times and then the one time they get it right is what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about the main event of Raw right now?
One more thing I want to talk about. I talk about him every week. I want Chad Gable on my TV.
Yeah, there needs to be something more that you can do with him.
I mean, he did have a pretty
copy.
He did have a pretty fun match with Cody this week.
Well, he's literally a carbon copy of Kurt Angle, basically.
Yeah. And I've said it before on this podcast, and I'll say it again, and then we'll go on to the main event. If Otis does go off with the Maximum Male Models, please do, Otis. I want Chad Gable to just snap into, like, Kurt Angle wrestling machine mode. I want him to just go off and just put on great matches with people, challenge for the U.S. title. I want good things for Chad Gable.
Yeah, he definitely deserves it. He kind of gets the crappy end of the stick.
No, but he gets reactions. Like,
he
he's
does.
over.
He is, yes.
But let's talk about the main event, because this is going to tie into the point that I was making earlier about how the women's division needs more established tag teams. And this is somebody that has been a diehard Becky Lynch fan since the steampunk days.
Yes.
We're talking like 2016, where Becky Lynch lost everything.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
I don't like Becky and Lita as tag champs and beating Damage Control.
I don't either.
I understand that the point might be to have a face team to go up against Ronda and Shayna, and I get that. But Damage Control should have at least taken those titles into Mania.
Yes, and
if you wanted to have a face in there, do a triple threat. You could have done Becky and Lita versus Damage Control versus Ronda and Shayna at Mania. Maybe that's what we're doing.
But then you could have just let Damage Control keep it, because you have to build. You can't just put people together and be like, boom, they're a tag team, and boom, they're great. Like, I feel like there has to be a story.
One of the things that seems to happen in wrestling that always bothers me, and it's AEW is just as guilty, I'm not dunking on WWE alone here, is you take two good single stars, put them in a tag team, and all of a sudden they're better than a tag team that's been working together for 10 years.
Right, yeah.
Well, in the women's tag division case, a year,
and
6 months.
I mean, no disrespect to Lita, she is badass. But there were a few times in that match where I was just like, she can't hang anymore. Like, she's getting older. Like, I mean, no disrespect to her, but like, she was in slow motion compared to the other wrestlers. And I mean, I knew that they were going to win it before. I accidentally saw spoilers because we don't watch Raw on Monday because it's just too long for me to handle. So we usually try to break it up. But like, I saw that and I was just like, gosh. And then I saw the match and then I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't know. You can't just put two people that everybody really likes and put them together and then it's magic. That's just not always how it works. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I
feel like this is a way to just get Becky Lynch in WrestleMania too, because they didn't know what to do with her.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that. Sure.
So yeah, there are new tag team champs for the women, Becky and Lita, but I don't think the right people want it.
No, I don't think they're going to leave Mania with them either.
Well, I get that Damage Control's having a hard time, like, getting over. There's just something that's not quite clicking. But they deserve it more than Becky and Lita shoehorned together to win it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could have had Becky and Lita fight for him at Mania. You could have easily had Bayley Bailey cost him the win. I know Trish came out to even the playing field and all that, but you could have done something.
Yeah.
A little different.
Yeah. Like, Trish coming out seems more like a WrestleMania thing to me.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. We'll see what happens, but as of right now, I don't agree with that decision.
Yeah.
There.
Well, the last thing I want to touch on before we move on to NXT is Sheamus and Drew McIntyre.
Oh, for SmackDown.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had Sheamus and Drew come out, and well, Drew came out first, and he was saying that he wanted to go after one of the titles. Gunther. Yes. Gunther. And that upset Sheamus because the dude had a 5-star banger, which is where the banger after banger after banger came from. And he came out and he was like, "Bro, we're friends. You knew I wanted this. You're dead to me." I feel like that's basically what went down.
Yeah, and I just
turned so quickly.
I just have to say, Sheamus, you had your shot.
Multiple shots.
You had multiple shots, Sheamus.
And it was just very much like high school girls.
Yeah.
And I was just like, damn, why couldn't we have made this a slow build to them turning against each other and so bam, instantly?
It did feel kind of instant. Like somebody was like, "Oh shit, we gotta separate them. We haven't done anything for that yet."
Yeah.
It did feel kind of rushed.
Yeah.
I keep hearing there's going to be a triple threat at Mania between Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. If that's the case,
I mean, it'll be good.
Yes, I'll have seconds of that.
It will be good. My only critique with this is how they just kind of, because Sheamus and Drew, they were like teaming together for some reason. Like
they were teaming against the Viking Raiders.
Well, who is it that was with? I can't think of. But what's their tag team?
Oh, the Brawling Brutes.
Yeah, the Brawling Brutes are just disappeared, and he's been teaming with. Sheamus has been teaming with Drew McIntyre, so like, it's just so sudden. Like, you already broke up the Brawling Brutes, I feel like, by just having them be gone for a while. So like, now you're gonna break up them so suddenly?
I miss Butch.
I do too.
I miss Butch.
I miss Butch. I much prefer him. I prefer him as like Pete Dunne, like hard ass.
I mean, Butch was pretty hard. He was full nuts.
It's not that I dislike him. I just prefer like the more intense version of Pete Dunne. But it's not difficult. But so anyway, to keep on stay focused, Susan. We then had like the New Day come out. LA Knight came out. Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, they came out, and they all just I was very confused by this because they didn't really announce what was going on. They all just kind of got in the ring together, started scuffling, and I was like, what's happening? But then later on, I think they announced a match.
Yeah, we're going to see it next week live.
Yes.
It's a fatal 5-way to determine Gunther's challenger.
Yes.
Which is, it's going to be Kofi Kingston, Drew McIntyre, during this segment, there was a brawl, and Drew McIntyre jumped over the rope, and Kofi caught all of it.
Yes.
And poor Kofi, I hope Kofi's okay today.
Yes.
I really like Kofi Kingston. I think he's a fantastic human being, and I really enjoy watching him wrestle. So
I don't feel like he's appreciated enough, but if he's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah. But you had Kofi. You're going to have a number one contenders match between Kofi, LA Knight, Karrion Kross, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus. And the winner faces Gunther at Mania. And I saw a lot of people that were kind of sad. They were like, "Oh, we're going to do an Intercontinental ladder match." I was kind of hoping for that too, but you know I love ladder matches.
I do too. It makes you get more, like the wrestlers get more creative. You get cooler spots. So like, I'm a fan of
it. And plus, all those 6 guys in a ladder match, we'd have had good eating that day. We'd have had some good eating for that match.
Good eating?
Yeah, good eating. But one of the things I love is afterwards they asked Gunther about it. Gunther's just like, "That was a disgrace." Like,
I know.
I love Gunther so much. He's so angry. He's like... I love that he has so much respect for the sport, but he's not above cheating.
Yes.
Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love how hypocritical he is there. But I just like, it's a disgrace. Like, I really think Gunther's promos are pretty good, too.
Well, yeah, they are.
Yeah. He just comes across like a big deal.
He does,
I still think he should be Cody's SummerSlam feud. And I will die on that hill. That Gunther should be Cody's SummerSlam opponent. And I'll also die on the hill that he should beat Cody.
Yes. Well, let's skip to NXT then.
Okay, let's go to NXT.
Switch gears to NXT. There were a few things.
I'm so sad. For some reason, I always fall asleep during the main event of NXT. And it's not because I don't like it. It's because I don't know why. It's just like Mondays with you for Raw. Like, you struggle. I struggle on Tuesdays. So I missed the Tyler Bate Carmelo Hayes match,
And if
I
you're
hate
gonna,
that because I love both of them.
And if you're gonna ask me for like a play-by-play review, you got the wrong girl because that was Tuesday. My mind remember what happened yesterday. So I just remember it was very good, and I'm pretty sure I even noted that you like good match, like you should check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and check it out. I still have it on the DVR.
I know there were
upstairs.
2 matches on NXT that I was like, you should check this out. The first one, so NXT started like Wesley was just waiting in the ring, and like everybody's just like fighting to get, because he had an open challenge, and everybody's just like fighting to get out there to the ring. And at first I was like, well, this is weird, but then you made the good point there. You were like, but it's different, and it's kind of giving like a backstage look at what's happening when during the open. Whatever.
Yeah, because like it's more realistic than if somebody's like, I have an open challenge, and one person walks out.
Yeah.
Like I like this aspect of it. That people like are clamoring to answer that open challenge. I love that NXT is so experimental and tries different things. One of the things I look forward to at NXT every week is to see the new thing they're going to try to see if it works.
They are more experimental, and I think I enjoy that. I know some wrestling fans won't, but I enjoy it.
I love that aspect of NXT.
Well, but we had like everybody finally gets closer out to the ring, and then Nathan Frazier made his return, and that mofo just jumps over. Who was it?
Dabba-Kato.
Yeah, it just jumped over his head, and he's a big dude to get into the ring. And I was like, well, shit, here we go. Yeah. And the match itself was so good. Like, there's so many cool spots and flips, and this was the match. This was probably like the match of NXT, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would definitely say go check that out. And then, but then Carmelo Hayes versus Tyler Bate, that was also a really good match. So I also think you guys should check that out. I don't remember the specifics in it. I remember Trick Williams was there.
Yeah.
But like I don't remember the specifics. But it was good. But I mean, that was really. I have a note here that Wendy Chu was hurt, but that's just because. I really like Wendy Chu.
And I found out later Wendy Chu has a legit shoulder injury, which sucks. I really like Wendy Chu.
I do too. She's me. I wish I could just roll I roll out of bed and go to work. So
I don't know how her thing will translate to the main roster, but I'm enjoying it for what it is.
Yes, but I mean that's really all the notes I really had on NXT. Those are the 2 things that really, or the things that really stuck out to me.
And we're kind of setting up next week for Roadblock. Roadblock looks like it's going to be a pretty good show. I mean, we got Jacy Jane and Gigi Dolan one-on-one.
And that's a good story.
Yeah, we got...
Did Gigi do a promo?
Yeah, Gigi
She did a pretty fire promo on NXT this week.
And Jacy Jane didn't make an appearance. She got to get all the way through her promo.
Yes. Yes.
I'm really invested in the match between these two. I'm interested to see what they do.
Because they had good storytelling. So.
We're going to have Meiko Satomura against Roxanne Perez. We're going to have... I'm really intrigued by the Grayson Waller segment.
Me too.
With Shawn Michaels. I'm very intrigued to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people thinking that Shawn Michaels is going to come out of retirement. He's not.
I would hope not, because
I see people
no
say
offense
that,
to Shawn Michaels, but the last match he did, it shouldn't have happened anyway.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm sure it would be better with Grayson Waller than it would have been with a 50-year-old Undertaker, a 50-year-old Kane, and a near 50-year-old Triple H.
That's very true, yeah.
I think
that's very true.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that I kind of agree with the camp that thinks that it's going to be like a reason to debut Dragon Lee at Stand and Deliver. I could see that being the case.
I could see that, yeah.
But either way, I'm intrigued. I want to see what's going on. I'm always intrigued when Grayson Waller's involved.
Same.
I really like Grayson
He
Waller.
is so entertaining. So, yes.
He is. And I think Grayson Waller will be a lot of fun on the main roster, too. Like, I can't wait to see him feud with, like, LA Knight, The Miz, like, the Good Talkers.
Yes.
Like, I can't wait to see that stuff. I mean, granted, LA Knight and Miz are heels, and Grayson Waller's a heel, so maybe more along the lines
Enough with the heels and faces,
well,
though.
I mean, somebody could turn at some point.
You focus on that way too much, I feel like.
Okay.
That's always been your thing.
Okay.
Well, do you want to switch to AEW now?
Yeah, we can. But overall, I think WWE had a pretty decent week overall. I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed SmackDown. SmackDown flew by. To me this week, SmackDown flew faster than Dynamite does.
Yeah, and Dynamite usually flies by.
SmackDown felt like it was 10 minutes because it was just SmackDown was cooking the whole
If
night.
I had to pick, I'd probably pick SmackDown as my favorite show. Honestly,
wait a minute. How did we not talk about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan?
I mean, it wasn't really like wowza or terrible, so I wasn't really going to talk about it. But
no, but it was enough to make that girl cry.
Kids always cry.
Yeah, but
WWE.
But I love the fact, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. First of all, there was a girl that cried a lot when Liv lost.
And I just want, and that poor girl, like, her mother should have warned her. She loses a lot. She's probably going to lose.
Yeah, but
Little girl should have been warned.
Yeah, but I mean, look what happened because of it.
Yeah.
Number one, that girl is online everywhere now because that's Rhea Ripley's profile picture on Twitter, which is hilarious. Good job, Rhea Ripley. That's fantastic. And then there's this really sweet video of Liv Morgan meeting this girl.
Yeah, that she the girl runs up and gives her a big hug. Liv picks her up and hugs her back. It is cute.
And Liv's fantastic with kid fans. That's why she's always featured whenever they do community outreach stuff.
The female wrestler that I have seen that is the best with children ever, Tamela.
Yeah, Tamela is really good with children.
On the Jericho cruise, that girl, she would literally be chasing children, playing with them. And, they would run up to her. She is so good. She needs to be a mama if she wants to be a mama. We're living in a day and age where if you don't want to be a mama, it's okay. But she'd be a good mama if she wanted to be one.
Yeah.
Lenny again.
Yeah. So that's going to cut the conversation on WWE. We're still building to WrestleMania. I think we've got a lot of good irons in the fire. I think WrestleMania is shaping up to be a pretty good show. I'm excited to see what we keep doing. So with that, I think we can go ahead and pivot to AEW.
Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
When does he not have a
John Moxley just oozing blood everywhere.
Yes. We had this really cool... Oh, and do you want to talk about anything else with John Moxley? I was getting excited and going forward.
I'm just excited for the Texas Death Match. This is a match that, this is the third time they fought.
I'm ready for them to stop feuding.
I am, but at the same time, they've both done a really good job of building this up as, this is the end of the world for one of them.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a bloody affair. I think it's going to be violent. I think it's going to be uneasy, and I'm here for it.
I'm not. I am not a big fan of blood. I'm ready for this feud to end. They've had a good couple matches. Why can't it just... AEW does this terrible thing. They have a terrible habit of just not knowing when to stop having people fight each other. I get it. They had a good couple matches, but you don't got to keep it going. It's good. We are good at this point. So that's my beef with that match. I'm sure it'll be good, but I'm over it.
Yeah.
But there's this really cool spot that I absolutely loved during Dynamite. So we had the Elite. They had their entrance music. They were getting ready to come down to the ring, and it went black. And House of Black is behind them. It comes up. House of Black is behind them. I think it goes dark again. You hear punching noises or something. Yeah. And then it kind of sounds like video game punching noises.
It was something out of the first Ninja Turtles movie.
Okay.
Where they fight in the dark and they hear it and then the light comes back on.
Of course. Because Kenny Omega's involved in it. So, of course. But it was really cool. The lights come back on and House of the Elite's just on the ground and the House of Black is just holding up the titles and it goes black. And that's all we see. And it was so badass. The crowd was just chanting, holy shit. And that's it. We didn't see the Elite again. We didn't nothing.
House of Black cut a promo later.
Well, yeah, I meant the Elite though.
Oh yeah, the Elite were done for the night.
Yeah, and I loved it. I thought that was so very not much happened, but it just told such a good story along it. So I loved it. Honestly, that was probably my favorite thing that happened this week. Out of the wrestling, out of everything, that little segment, it gave me chills. I loved it. I don't know what it was about it. Just House of Black standing over them with the titles being raised and the Elites on the ground. I agree with the fans. Holy shit. So I loved it. We have a ladder match.
Yeah, it was to the right to face Ortiz.
Yes.
Or not Ortiz. I saw you write Ortiz to face the winner of Wardlow.
So we had Ortiz, we had Eddie Kingston, we had Hobbs, we had... I don't remember who else was in there. Who was the Sammy Guevara?
Action Andretti. Commander. Oh, Commander.
Was that everybody? Was that everybody in it?
Commander, Action Andretti,
I
Sammy
named
Guevara.
off 6 people.
Yeah, but I want to say there was 7. Eddie Kingston.
No, Dino Garcia came out helping.
Konosuke Takeshita.
Yes.
Takeshita was in it.
So there was actually some I felt like there was some decent storytelling in this match. So, okay, first of all, why was Ortiz and Eddie even in the match?
Because I can answer that for you. Because it was something that happened later online. Eddie Kingston has quit AEW and is going to Ring of Honor because Ring of Honor has less liars and backstabbers.
Another reason why this Honor Club thing, I don't want to pay another subscription. But
from what I've heard, it's worth it.
We're probably gonna have to do it.
Yeah, and then that's the only free night we have is Thursdays, and guess what night Ring of Honor airs?
So that's just not going to work because
WWE, AEW, you're killing us.
I have no time. I have a full-time job, and there are times after work. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to watch wrestling. I just want to relax, and I never get that freedom to do that. So, maybe we won't get it then, because I don't want to have wrestling every night of the week.
Well, I mean, we could always break it up over the course of.
We usually watch Raw on Thursdays, though, and I cannot sit for 3 hours of Raw. That is fucking torture.
Okay, well, what if we can work it out off camera?
Yes,
we'll work it out.
But anyway, but Ortiz and Eddie just kind of go off. They're not seen again during the whole match. It's just a lot of shit that goes down. I don't know. It was just a good match.
I noticed you have a note here about if Daniel Garcia was even needed in this match.
Yeah, was he? Sammy didn't win.
No.
So
he did a pretty cool spot where he put actually Andretti through the ladder.
Hobbs won. Yes. So it's
Have you heard people's fears about? Well, you saw where Jericho and Ricky Starks Revolution their stipulation, the graphic card said everyone banned from ringside. Well, then they changed it to JAS banned from ringside. Have you seen the online debate going on with that?
No.
So there's a camp that says that it was a graphics mess up. They're just fixing it to make it more aligned with the story. There's another camp. There's another camp that says that was done on purpose because actually Andretti's going to come out and join Jericho and turn on Ricky Starks. And there's people scared to death that's going to happen.
I hope not, because we don't need another person in JAS.
I feel like the JAS is... I think we're ready to start kind of taking it apart a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the JAS would work better. Honestly, I feel like they would work better in a firm scenario. Where they all kind of have their own thing going on, but when they need to band together, they do.
Yeah.
I feel like something like that would be a little easy. I think the problem with the JAS is it's a big group. Now, granted, in a situation like the cruise where you get to meet them all,
they're
that's
fun.
a hell of a fun time. But
so
as
fun
far
together.
as being on TV and for wrestling, I think the group is just too big.
Yeah.
And because they're so big, there's a lot of them missing TV time. But on the reverse, they're still on TV so much that you're taking time away from other people. So it's very tricky.
But kind of playing devil's advocate to them taking TV time from their people. I mean, everybody's going to have TV time taken from them in wrestling land. That's just the name of the game in wrestling. So I don't know if that's a fair complaint whenever that's just how it goes in wrestling. Somebody, every promotion, every single time is going to have TV time taken away from them.
Well, yeah, but I'm just telling you the arguments I've seen.
I know, and I was just telling you, I think that one's shit.
But anyway, back to the point. So there was a couple interesting things that happened with the ending. And I'm not talking about where the refs were holding the ladder. I don't care about that. I just want the wrestlers to be safe.
Here's my thing. For people that are mad that the refs held the ladder, okay? Would you rather them die?
Yeah.
Would you literally rather see their death on TV? Because if that's the case, then why don't you go watch something else? What's the promotion that's not very safe? CZW or something? Yeah. They might do that. Go watch CZW. But I would
GCW? That's the one AEW is not allowed to work with
GCW,
anymore.
that's what it is then. But I would much rather the illusion be shattered and refs hold the ladder than have to see a death on my TV where I might be scarred from
Yeah.
it.
Or would you rather take the extra 2 minutes where everybody's down while Powerhouse Hobbs goes and gets another ladder,
Right.
sets it up, and then that just makes all those guys look
That kind
stupid.
of like messes up the flow of the match.
Yeah.
Like, heaven forbid wrestling that, I don't want to say fake, but is scripted and it's all planned out and it's like a predetermined outcome typically. Heaven forbid.
Yeah. Well,
Heaven forbid that gets like shattered to you that's how it actually is.
Well, I wanna get to the end of the match itself. I don't want to give any more time to this dumb argument.
Okay.
Be safe. The safety is the number one thing.
People,
If your disbelief is so shallow that seeing the refs hold a ladder, you're like, oh, takes me out of the match, then wrestling's not for you. That's just all there is to it.
no, because they do a lot of stuff. They have to be safe.
If you want that, watch a movie or go to a circus if you could still find
Don't
one.
go to circus. Don't go to circuses because they're not known for taking care of their animals.
Okay, then go to an animalless circus. How about that?
What?
A circus without animals.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, Commander was a highlight in this match too. I'm not even going to recap what he did. Just go watch Commander's highlights from the match.
It was like, I mean,
It was
I would
awesome.
say go back and rewatch the ladder match itself. Because
Yeah.
it was very good.
But some of the story beats that we got Powerhouse Hobbs winning, which I kind of thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
But the TNT title picture kind of seems to be stuck between Joe and Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, Darby Allin was there for a little bit.
Well, that kind of goes back to my thing that AEW doesn't know when to just move on.
But one thing that I really enjoyed was after every match that Konosuke Takeshita has lost, he is graceful about it. He shakes hands. He walks away with his head held high. After this match, he was pounding the ground in frustration.
Yeah, and they actually asked him about it.
Yeah, they followed up with this with Don Callis finally coming in and pitching to him.
Instead of just creepily looking at him.
Which I love that Takeshita in this promo with, I think it was Renee Paquette that he was talking to. He was like, I think I'm just going to go back to Japan. And the whole crowd was just like, no!
I know.
I agree with the crowd. Takeshita, please don't leave.
Don't go back to Japan.
No, don't leave.
But
don't leave.
yeah, it was...
That dude's got all... That dude, I think that dude has turn heel with Don Callis, beat Orange Cassidy for the All-Atlantic title written all over him.
Right, so then the people can stop getting upset about Danhausen and Orange Cassidy being together in a match.
Yeah, speaking of which, the Tag Team Battle Royal, at Revolution, it's going to be Danhausen and Orange Cassidy that are taking up the 4th spot. Now, I've seen a lot of people that were upset by this, and I will say that a lot of people that I saw that were upset were the ones that were convinced that FTR was coming back. And I'm going to reiterate it to you. I have a very good friend I say this to all the time. It's not bad because it didn't go the way you wanted it. That being said...
I mean, I'm guilty of that too. I get upset when things don't go my way, but I get over it.
Sami Zayn.
Did I not already make my amends for that?
I'm just playing.
I'm going to smack a hoe.
But that being said, I love Orange Cassidy. I love Danhausen. I don't love that they won that match.
I'm happy with it.
I am happy because Danhausen's going to have a match on the main pay-per-view
That's the only reason I'm happy. Well, that's the main reason I'm happy is because Danhausen's finally getting a chance to do something instead of just be goofy.
And here's my other concern with it. I am pretty sure that whoever wins this match at Revolution is pitting Danhausen to do it.
Oh,
I hate to say it, but
for sure.
I think that's why Danhausen's there.
Yeah, and another thing is that I know some people are like, they're not even a tag team.
I mean,
aren't
they've been friends for a while.
Aren't they in a faction together? Does that not... Like, the JAS pairs off randomly all the time. So why is that different than what they're doing?
The argument that I have seen that makes the most sense was that if you wanted to have best friends represented, why not just have Trent and Chuck win? I will give credence to that argument.
Were they hurt? Or why aren't they wrestling?
I don't think that either one of them's injured. I think they were just pulled.
I don't know.
I just think they ran that angle. I don't know why.
I would much rather Danhausen be pinned, though, than best friends yet again.
That's a good point there.
Yes.
Is if you want best friends in that match, that's fine, but you're inviting them to take another loss.
Yes,
and the big argument I see with best friends is they lose too much.
Right.
You cannot have it both ways.
Like I hate to break it to you, but best friends going into that match, they were gonna lose.
Yeah,
So I would much rather see a Danhausen lose, who's kind of more on the jobber spectrum, I guess. I don't know. I just think people need to get over it.
Yeah. But we'll cover later who we think is going to win because we're going to be doing our predictions for Revolution at the end of this.
Oh, joy.
So that pretty much covers Dynamite, I believe.
Yeah.
Danielson and MJF. Danielson had a fire promo at the end of the show.
Yes.
Where he brought back a popular Ring of Honor phrase.
Don't say it.
That used to be, you're going to get your head kicked in.
Yes.
So I'm excited for MJF.
And I don't know what it is about Bryan Danielson, but when I hear him cuss, it makes me happy.
I think it's because you before AEW you'd only seen him in WWE.
I know. I never got to before. I mean, I've gone back and watched some of his matches from Ring of Honor now, but whenever I first started watching wrestling, I was just a WWE girl. So
well, the independents weren't as accessible to us as they are now.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah. I always love. I get a little giddy whenever Bryan Danielson.
And let me say this: I have seen a lot of people that have said, like, "Oh, you love AEW. They were better in the independents. You should check out the independents." AEW is the reason that I have any interest in the independents. So thank them for that.
And that's my biggest thing about WWE is that everybody typically is better with them on the independents because they're so watered down now. That's such a fear of mine if Jay White goes to WWE.
You are so scared about Jay White going to the WWE.
I am.
But then Rampage happened.
Okay.
And I hate to say it, but that's just kind of what happened with Rampage. It just happened.
Okay, no. You cannot gloss over Emi Sakura.
I'm not going to.
So she had a match against
Riho,
yes. And it was a good match. That's actually the only thing I noted during Rampage was that match. I liked it. Emi Sakura I love her. She just makes me laugh because of it's Emi Sakura. And Riho, I don't dislike her.
Yeah.
I remember when she won, whenever she was the first women's champion at AEW, I was a little upset because I was just like, out of all the choices, that's who you pick. But she has grown on me.
Yeah.
She's so tiny but so mighty.
What is it that JR called her? The most dangerous 98 pounds in wrestling?
Right.
Or something like that?
And this match, they just had a lot of chemistry. And they told us during the match that Emi Sakura literally helped train Riho whenever she was younger. So there was just such good chemistry. And Emi Sakura, she just seemed more intense now. But of course she didn't win, which we knew she wasn't going to win because whenever Emi Sakura wins, she has the one specific ref because she sits on his lap and they do tea time.
Stefan Smith, I think is his name.
She sits on his lap and they do tea time. That's her ref that she does that with.
He reluctantly does it. But
she makes him get on his knee. And,
one thing I want to talk about from Rampage, well, the 4-way tag team match at the beginning was really fun because you had like Wheeler and Claudio, Top Flight.
Oh, yeah.
Aussie Open and who was the fourth team? Claudio, Wheeler, Top Flight.
Dark Order.
Aussie Order, Dark Order, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel so bad that I forgot Dark
Wait,
Order.
speaking of Dark Order, let's go back to Dynamite, to the Battle Royal. Why the hell did Preston Vance not interact with the Dark Order? Why is there nothing from that? He literally screwed the Dark Order over and then we're just moving on.
You know what I think? You know what I think would be the thing I would most like to see come out of that?
What?
Is a one-on-one with Vance and Uno.
Right? He literally turned on him, and it's like, this is like being like you being like spoon-fed a story, and you're just glossing over.
I haven't done this in a while, but I want to put on my fantasy booking hat for a second.
Okay.
Of what I'd like to do. I would love to see Uno come out of that Moxley match more dangerous and angrier, and I would love to see Uno just go right up to Vance and just pick a fight because he's just. The fight with Moxley changed something.
I just feel like Dark Order, they deserve better. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. I know some people don't like Dark Order, think they're a mockery, yada, yada, yada.
Brody Lee Tribute Act.
But,
I see that a lot.
But if you would just watch their wrestling instead of being so damn negative, you would see that they're not bad wrestlers.
No, not
at all.
Not at all.
They're just being stubborn. And I
haven't seen anybody say that they think that they're bad wrestlers. They just don't know what Dark Order's doing.
I've heard people like hate Evil Uno. They think he's terrible.
I'm sorry. How can you hate Evil Uno?
It's just like, but I think in wrestling though, it's very easy to get in that thing of like, this is what's good about wrestling. this is what's terrible, and it's very hard sometimes just to get out of that mold of what you think is correct and what you think is wrong.
Yeah.
Because wrestling is very opinion-based, so you're going to have some people with very strong opinions that will very forcefully put it in your face.
Yeah. I've talked to people that have said that they think that wrestling's gone down the toilet since Hulk Hogan left.
Hulk Hogan was shit. See, somebody actually has told me that they think wrestling was so much better back then, and it's just like, no, they were terrible wrestlers. They didn't do anything back then.
I wouldn't even label it better or worse. It's just different from how it was back then.
True.
I won't even throw a better or worse label on it.
True. I mean, I will say it's so different that I refuse to go back and rewatch super old school things.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to.
Yeah.
But that's just because women aren't sex objects. So, and that's how they were treated back then. So I refuse to go back and watch older matches a lot of times.
Yeah.
But anyway, though, is there anything else you want to talk about with wrestling?
Yes. One more thing I want to touch on. The Keith Lee Swerve stuff. I like Dustin Rhodes. I understand that Swerve has this group, but my God, can we just get to Keith Lee versus Swerve already? Keith Lee's only been back 2 weeks, but that's what I want to see. I don't understand
why.
What
if they're doing like a slow build to it?
Maybe, but Keith Lee and Swerve feels like a pay-per-view quality match, and there's a pay-per-view coming, and if you don't do it here, you got to wait till Double or Nothing, which I think is in May. What are you going to do for that 2 months? Then you run into the Jericho Stark situation where you have to stretch it out so far and it gets so thin just because you want to do it at a pay-per-view, but the pay-per-view is so far away.
But on WWE, they've had stories for WrestleMania start 2 months before, and it's been fine and dandy.
But they have a pay-per-view every month.
But I'm saying they're getting ready for WrestleMania and they're not on anything else, and that's fine and dandy. So what's so different about this situation? Why couldn't they do it once a week? That wouldn't be that many things about it. Why couldn't they be a slow build? That would only be, 8 weeks of it?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like, and I understand that Keith Lee was gone for personal reasons, and he probably came back when he felt comfortable, but I wish he would have felt more comfortable maybe a week earlier, and then this could have maybe been on the Revolution card.
You can't say about somebody's mental health.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm just saying I wish he was in an okay place to come back a week earlier, but I completely understand if he wasn't.
Yeah. I think that maybe you're just getting impatient in this situation.
Maybe because ever since they were teasing the turn, I wanted to see Keith Lee versus Swerve.
As soon as he came back, those two have been interacting on some level.
Yeah.
So, don't you go on to people if it's a slow burn and they rush it?
Yes.
Look at the Bloodline story. That thing's been going on for 3 freaking years. So I think a couple months is going to be perfectly fine if you wait for, because we've had like a 3-year-long Bloodline story going on.
Okay, let me put it this way then. I don't trust Tony Khan to be able to stretch this out effectively because of what's happening with other stories.
I think that if Vince McMahon could do it at first, the Bloodline, I think Tony Khan can do it.
Okay, fair.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if he is going to do it. I don't honestly care if there's a feud between them. But I'm just saying, I think you're being a little too harsh right now. Was it mental health reasons that he came back?
Yeah.
So, you got to give him time. I have mental health issues myself.
I'm understanding that. I want him to come back when he's comfortable. I'm just saying I wish he was more comfortable a week earlier.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no, above all, take the time that you need. I don't want Keith Lee to sell his mental health short because I want a story to be a little bit... That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying...
Let's not do a Lacey Evans here.
No, I'm just saying I wish he felt ready enough a week earlier.
Can we talk about Lacey Evans?
If you want to.
Just one short thing.
Okay.
I think we should cancel her.
I don't think that she should be canceled. I think she needs to be educated. I think that is more effective than canceling. Is educating. And I'll tell you my number one exhibit for that, where education is better than cancellation, Jay Briscoe.
But not everybody's a Jay Briscoe.
No,
Lacey
but she
Evans
should be...
has said things over and over and over again. She's made comments about disability. She's made comments about mental health. She's made comments about all this other stuff.
Okay.
She's dead to me.
Okay.
Those are things that are very sensitive to me. I have mental health issues 2022 was a very rough year for me. And disabilities are a big thing in my life. Like, very, very important. Like, that's my job, basically. So, like, those two things, if you can't understand simple things like that, then maybe you shouldn't be in the public eye, because what you say is perpetuating something harmful and hurtful.
I mean, she hasn't been on TV in a couple weeks.
Good.
Maybe you're not the only one that's thought that.
Good. I know Bunny didn't disagree with me, so
No,
you can't say things like exercise and taking a hot shower.
The one that got me was make more money. Yeah, okay.
Okay, let me just shit out more money, Lacey Evans.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
One of the comments I saw in a thread about that was like, guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to go make more money. I'll let you know how it goes.
Right? Like, I just... Maybe we shouldn't... Okay, fine. We'll go your route. We can educate her.
But here's my other thing, though, too, is make more money is laughable coming from somebody that makes 6 figures a year.
Yeah, you're very out of tune with the rest of society, Lacey Evans, and the rest of society is not liking you. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that care about mental health and that kind of stuff aren't for you right now.
Yeah.
So another person, yet again, I'm going to go against, because I actually liked Lacey Evans before. And then she just kept opening her mouth and she doesn't know when to shut it. And now it's just like, I'm going to go Real Housewives on you, girlfriend. I've watched so many episodes, I can do it.
Okay.
I ain't scared.
Okay. Well, after that, I don't know how to segue, so we're just going to segue. It's time for the Revolution predictions. All right, so Susan will have a chance to take this back from me.
I'm getting it back.
And we'll see. So these are our predictions for Revolution. So we will start. Final burial match, Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy. I am taking Jungle Boy.
I was too.
Okay. Jericho versus Ricky Starks with Jericho Appreciation Society band. I am taking... I don't think it's the right call, but I'm taking Jericho.
I first thought Starks, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, give me your pen. Give me your pen. We're going to do this. That way I remember who picked what. The Elite versus House of Black for the Trios title. I think it's going to be... I'm taking House of Black.
That's who I really want to win, but I think the Elite's going to retain.
Okay.
I really want House of Black to win, though.
This is shaping up to be fun because normally we agree more than this.
Well, at this point, though, it's like, why not just take different than you, because I don't have the title anyway.
Okay. Hayter versus Saraya versus Ruby Soho. I am saying that Hayter is going to retain.
That's what I was going to say also.
Okay. Moxley versus Hangman, Texas Death. I'm taking Hangman. I'm taking Hangman. Because I think Moxley's going to turn heel.
I'll just say Moxley, because I honestly don't know who's going to win this one.
Okay, so Moxley, and I'll take the Hangman. Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. This is probably the one I'm split on the most. I think I'm going to take Wardlow.
I'm going to take Samoa Joe.
You're going to take Samoa Joe. Oh, this is going to be exciting. Normally, it's only like 1 or 2 matches we're depending on.
Some of these I'm picking opposite you just because why not?
The Guns versus the Acclaim versus Jarrett and Lethal versus Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. I am taking... I just get this feeling. I'm taking Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal.
Oh my God, I will literally die.
I just have a feeling.
They better not effing win. Jeff Jarrett, he's too old.
I just have a feeling. Who are you taking?
God, none of these are really like...
If it helps you any, before Jarrett and Lethal, I was kind of leaning towards the Acclaim getting them back.
See, I was kind of thinking maybe the Guns would just retain because shenanigans from other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the Guns will retain.
You're going to take the Guns?
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, FTR showed up or something.
Mm-hmm.
And, like... Because I feel like FTR has to be involved with them at some point. Because the Guns have just toted over and over and over again that they took down FTR. They ruined their career, so...
Yeah. The last one, MJF versus Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match. I am taking MJF.
Same. I think that that'll be a hell of a match, but I think MJF will do something to retain it.
Yeah, something. I don't know. I hope it's not by like somebody helping him. I hope he just I hope he uses shenanigans by himself.
I don't know. It's MJF.
Yeah.
But I don't know who he really has right now because he kind of pushed away the firm. He's not a nice guy. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's somebody debuting. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who knows?
But yeah.
Yeah, that's the predictions, and we never disagree
And
this much.
is
So
good.
I'm excited about this.
I kind of like this because this just says to me that we don't really have a clue who's going to win this, and those are exciting to me.
Yeah.
I hate whenever it's like, they're going to win. So like, yeah.
But all right, so we will find out tomorrow night who is victorious.
Yes.
So as Susan mentioned earlier, we have full-time jobs. It's hard for us to find time to do this, especially when the pay-per-views are on Sunday. I wish they were still on Saturdays. But I think what we're going to do for Revolution, that we're going to try to do a watch-along video where we'll record us watching the show, having our reactions in real time. If it doesn't go well, we won't do it again. If it does go well, this might end up what we do for WrestleMania Night 2.
Yeah.
But we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. If it does go well, we might do it for WrestleMania Night 1 too. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
We'll see how it goes. Because we do want to get our results to you. Because we debated having it be just an audio exclusive through Spotify and Anchor.
But even then, when would we
record it?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Because we work Monday.
Yeah.
Pay-per-views end late. So we'd either have to do it after the pay-per-view or get up early. And my week is crazy next week. So
watch along seems to be the only option at this point. So that'll be tomorrow night for Revolution, possibly for WrestleMania Night 2. If it doesn't work out, we'll figure out something else for WrestleMania Night 2. I don't know what it'll be. We'll figure it out. Well, with that being said, that covers this week in wrestling. Revolution, you can find on Fight TV, pay-per-view. They said some movie theaters and Dave & Buster's restaurants are playing it.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is pretty neat. It's cool exposure.
Oh, I just got face loving.
I guess Lenny wants to say goodbye as well.
I got face loving.
But until tomorrow night for Revolution, just keep in mind,
wrestling is community.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it.
Wrestling is a community.
All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for Revolution.
Yes.